Hello, Helen here. Thanks for joining me on my channel. Today's Christmas card in my Christmas 2016 series is this winter scene bauble shaker card. I'm going to start off by making the background for inside my bauble. I made a little mask using the smallest of my Spellbinder circle dies just to make a little moon or sun, and then I'm going to make some sloping hills for snow with just post-its. So I'm just hand cutting them, two different shapes, and then I'll have one at the background and one in the foreground. Now I'm placing the moon mask and the snowbank mask down roughly where I think I'm going to need it, and I've made a negative mask for just so that I can see what's going to be inside my bauble. So I've cut a circle out in a piece of paper that's going to be the same size as the bauble, and then I can see where the placements need to go. And then I'm going to just start inking around the moon first with a tumbled glass distress ink, just so that I got a slight halo around the moon. And then I'm going to use Salty Ocean, which is just slightly darker around that ring, and then Blueprint Sketch around the outside. I'm doing the blending backwards and forwards between the colours just so that I get a nice even blend, and I'm using a fairly light hand with that. Now to do the snowbanks in the front, I'm going to take off the mask that I had already on it, and I'm going to put another mask which should look like the foreground. So I'm going to just very lightly with tumbled glass ink, I'm going to just do along the edge of the front snowbank and also the edge of the back snowbank, just so that it takes the starkness of the white away. Now you'll see I hesitate because I don't think I've allowed enough room between the foreground and the background, so I ended up recutting my mask to slightly different shape, and I've moved it down a little bit, and then I'm just going to try and cover that mistake with some more tumbled glass just to smooth it over a little. But it doesn't end up being an issue because my snow that I'm going to put in the shaker is going to cover all that anyway. Now that I've got my background ready, I'm going to stamp some trees. Now I'm using this really old wooden stamp that I've had for years. It's apparently by a company called Stamp Fantastic, but I don't know that company, and I don't know whether they still do stamps. But there's various different tree stamps that you can get. There's some quite good Stampin' Up ones and various ones that you can use, so just use whatever you might have. And I'm just going to stamp the very top part of the tree, putting my first mask back into place just so that I'm shielding the snowbank for the start, because I want to make them look like they're behind all the snowbanks. And so I'm stamping two of them either side of the moon with VersaFine, and then going to emboss them with clear embossing powder. Now I'm going to stamp two more trees. So I've taken the first mask off and I'm putting the second mask on. Now you'll see I'm just putting it slightly below the point where I did the blending, just so that I make sure that I get the stamp right to the edge, otherwise you have a little bit of a white gap between. So I'm stamping the next two trees exactly the same with the same ink and the same embossing powder. I'm then going to make some snow in the background, so I'm using the Simon Says Stamp Falling Snow stencil, the one that I used for the Rudolph and Santa card at the beginning of my series, and I'm going to mix some glitter in with the texture paste. So I'm using Ranger texture paste, and I'm just putting a little bit of it on my craft mat with my spatula, and I'm just pouring some glitter in it and then mixing the glitter into the paste, and then I add a bit more just to make sure I've got enough glitter, and then I'm going to just spread it onto the stencil after I've stuck the stencil down onto the piece of card, and spreading it out just like you'd spread icing on a cake. I then make sure I clean up all my texture paste off my spatula, and also go away and clean the stencil. So then I put that aside and let that dry, just leaving it stuck to my board. For the card, I've got a panel the same size as my card base, which is 5 by 7 inches, and I've cut out a circle with my Spellbinder circle, and then cut out a piece of fun foam just slightly smaller, and I've cut out a circle just slightly bigger than my other circle with the next size up of the Spellbinder's die. I've then put down some acetate onto the back of my card panel, and then I'm going to stick the fun foam onto that, and I'm making sure that I stick it down really well. So I'm going around with little pieces of tape right round the centre circle, overlapping them so there is no spaces, because I'm using quite a fine chunky glitter for my shaker material, and I don't want any of it falling out. Once I've got the panel glued onto the fun foam with the acetate between, I've realised I haven't stamped my sentiments, so I'm going to put that in the MISTI, but I have to take the black foam part out so that it allows for the foam that's on the back of my card panel, and then I'm going to stamp the Warm Christmas Wishes sentiment out of the Simon Says stamp set by the same name. So I'm just stamping that with VersaFine Onyx Black ink. I'm not going to emboss it with clear embossing powder this time, and I do a double stamp just to make sure that I've got a nice clean stamp, because I'm doing it on linen card. I also go back and put tape around the circumference of the fun foam circle, just so that the front panel's ready to stick on when I'm ready for it, and then I'm just trimming down the seam that I've inked and stamped so that it's going to fit on the back of the card, hidden behind the panel, with the right part of it showing through the bauble. So I'm testing that out and then trimming it and sticking that down to the card, and then I'm ready to put the shaker material in. So I've got some chunky glitter that I got from one of our $2 stores, which I thought resembled snow, so I'm just putting a pile of that into the area on my scene, and then I can stick down the panel on top of that, and then when the shaker material falls to the bottom, it should look like snow on the snowbanks. The last thing I'm going to do is cut out just the very top part of a paper artist die called 3 Lacy Christmas Ornaments, and I'm going to use that just as my silver hanger off for the bauble. So I've cut that out of silver paper, and I'm just gluing that onto the top. So that's my card completed. Thank you for watching. Feel free to leave a comment or question below if you would like to, and give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed the video. Have a great week, and we'll see you next time. Bye for now.